it was crazy. Super fake. Absolutely loved it. Get it done because you are learning as you're doing. Flying in the clouds. 7 times China champion. 85% action, 15% reflection. China for China. Work, 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 work. You are in the center of everything fascinating that's happening in the world.
Rachel, thank you so much for joining me. It's been really, really long time.
Yes.
Just to give a quick story behind this specific episode, when I was starting out, I was thinking about to do the series of interviews. You were the first one on the list, and 2 years later, it's finally happening, which is very exciting, and that actually shows how busy you are. But we're gonna be talking a bit about that later. But let's start with your China story. When did you come to China? Why did you come to China? And when did it happen?
Yeah, so I grew up in Chinatown in Paris. So I was a little bit, I think, sensitized with Chinese culture, and I studied Kung Fu for a very long time at very high level. And a lot of my friends were actually from Chinese origin, so I think that I had already, got some interest about China. In 2007, I had the chance to move to China with my boyfriend and his family at the time. So it was purely like, kind of opportunistic. And I went here to study and to work, and then went back to France for 2 years, and then moved back to China permanently in 2011. So I've been here since 2011 and pretty much done all my working life here in China. So I would say that there are things that bring you to China, probably an idea, of what China is like, and there are things that keep you in China, and it's totally different. What really kept me in China is this feeling that you are in the center of everything fascinating that's happening in the world, and just this, just the vibrance and number of opportunities that I got here were just something that kept me, going and going for so long.
And the story continues. That's pretty cool. And I know that your childhood dream was to visit the Shaolin Temple. I think probably you experienced that one when you were a kid, right? You trained to be a Shaolin monk.
Yes.
And that dream came true, not actually that long time ago.
Yeah, that's true.
How did you feel?
It was crazy. It was crazy. I trained Kung Fu for, more than 10 years in France. And my master was 7 times China champion. And she had actually, played in movies with Jet Li. So she was, pretty out there, And so, I grew up, watching Bruce Lee, Jet Li movies. And that was... I identified with those guys, I totally identified with those guys. And so coming to China, I didn't actually find, the right school or whatever, so I wasn't training on a regular basis. I started on another path with yoga, but that always kind of stayed as a dream. And I first trained in a temple in Dali, in Yunnan, and for 3 days, and I just absolutely loved it. And then in 2020, I had the opportunity to go to Shaolin Temple. I was expecting it to be super fake. I was expecting it to be super touristic and super fake. Actually, it wasn't. First of all, because it was 2020, there was not a lot of people actually visiting the temple. And second, it's a working temple. So the monks are, practicing, and they are living in the temple. They are practicing meditation. They are practicing kung fu, and so it's totally and they bring you, so we got a chance to train with one of the masters, and he brought us to like one of the backyards of the temple. Suddenly you're by yourself, completely away from the tourists, and you're training, and that was just amazing. And the magic really happened. I think the magic really, really happened. And the abbot knew that there were foreigners there, so he arranged to offer us his book in English, which then you read about the story of Shaolin Temple, and it's even stronger, I think. And my master like offered me one of the beads necklaces, and then I was like flying in the clouds. It was so intense. It was so good.
For how many days?
Just one day.
Just one day?
Yeah, just one day, unfortunately, yeah. But that was like, I don't know, 10 years of build-up, and then like
wow,
explosion.
Wow, that's super cool.
It's awesome.
Entrepreneurship is a really big part of your life. And I'm just curious to know, is it because something that you've been passionate about for a really long time, or just because in China back in 2010-15 there were so many opportunities and everyone was doing business and you were thinking like, why not me?
That's such a good question. So a bit of background, my father is a psychoanalyst and my mother was a film editor. So nothing to do with entrepreneurship, with tech or anything like that. And I think first I got the opportunity. I met someone that was doing something cool and that I wanted to be part of. But even after I became co-founder of Li Hama, of that company, I still couldn't feel like I was an entrepreneur. And what actually made me start to feel like I was an entrepreneur was actually connecting with the other entrepreneur through Startup Grind. And that was really the turning point, because before being like a tight part of Startup Grind community, I just felt like I was trying to do something on my own, but I didn't. I had a full-time job on the side, and I didn't really feel like I was an entrepreneur. And thanks to surrounding myself with people like you, people like Florian, like Eric, like people who were really building their company and feeling like entrepreneurs and having those conversations about, fundraising and growth hacking and all these things, then I started to feel like I was an entrepreneur. But it took a while. Yeah.
Tell me more about a couple of projects or startups that you were a part of, and what was your biggest learning?
Being an entrepreneur totally changed my life. My relationship to what people call work, which is probably a lot more than that, and also expanded my competencies and my capabilities, both on, like, I would say, mental level and on a professional level, to a way that I don't think I would have achieved in otherwise. So I was part of my first startup that I was co-founder was Li Hama, which was a really fun project, which was about gamifying advertising. And we ended up with 400 clients, like 2 teams, Shanghai, Beijing, developers in the rest of Asia. So that was pretty good, and we were invested by SOSV and went through China Accelerator, which was a really, really big and important part of the journey. And my second journey was the Concept Lab. And I had learned so many things with Li Hama. I think first was around picking your founding team. So I did things very differently on the second project, and I picked people that I had worked with before and that I had like high admiration for. Then the second learning was, obviously, as every first-time entrepreneur, we over-engineered the first product. We launched too late, and we didn't consider business model. So I did totally the opposite with the second one. With the second startup, I built in lean. We sold the programs before we had the programs, and we were cash flow positive, and we were generating revenue before we even started actually operating the business. So it was a kind of build-in. I chose that as a build-in to really make things very, very differently. So so many things that you would learn through that. things that still serve me today is get into action. It's 80%, 85% action, 15% reflection, I would say, where for European, it's not the same ratio at all. Usually for Europeans, it's like maybe 50% reflection, 50% action if you're lucky. So that's like one thing, get it done because you are learning as you're doing. And the market is moving too fast for you to wait it out and observe it. So if you want to be in the market, you want to influence the market, then you gotta be acting on the market in connection with users and consumers. That's maybe one of the major one. And the second one is when you're founding a company, everything depends on you. So take care of yourself, and consider that you are the first asset of the company. So even if you are not the type of people that tend to, particularly pay attention to themselves, then tell yourself you are the first asset of the company, and you need to invest on that asset and to groom and take care of that asset, because it's just the fundamental. The company can't function without that.
Brilliant. Those are the golden tips. Fabernovel is a new big chapter in your life.
Yes.
From innovation consulting director to partner and China managing director just in a few years.
Yeah.
Incredible story. But I guess that's the result of really hard work. So what is the most challenging and the most exciting part of being on a team of a fast growing company in Shanghai?
Yeah, gosh, yeah. It's, as I think you said, you summarized super well. It's exhausting and it's so exciting. I think I had a chance with Fabernovel that the people who I guess were my boss were entrepreneurs themselves, and they understood that what would drive me was to give me a lot of space. So I pretty much had a bottom line and a top line. And anything in between was kind of a lot of space for me to invent new offers, to hire the people that I thought were the right people for the team, to go get the clients that would make me excited, to do events and be part of the community and invite the community over to make our space kind of a little bit like what we hope is a bit of a platform or magnet for the ecosystem. So I got super lucky into that, and that was something that allowed me to stay driven, focused for so long, for a very long time, despite everything that we lived. Hyper growth in 2018, 2019, dip in 2020, but we were still profitable. And then 2021 was again super high growth year. In 2022, now we're going to more difficult times again. So it was it's been a very, very exhilarating and very exciting time. Yeah, I think.
Do you have enough time?
Question?
Yeah. Do you have enough time to sleep?
So yeah, I think that's also what William was saying yesterday. When you're a startup, you need to choose between eating, sleeping, exercising, and socializing and work. And usually you choose work. So.
And that's why this interview is happening after 2 years.
Probably.
Great. So you're in charge of supporting your clients when they go through their digital transformation, right? Through innovation consulting and digital marketing. So who are your clients and what are the challenges they usually face?
Yeah. So I like to think about our work as we are trying to bring clients into territories that they have not gone before. So depending on kind of their business, their maturity, sometimes we are kind of opening and pioneering new things on the market with them, and sometimes we're trying to help them to catch up, right, with the advancement of the market. We work mainly with multinationals, that's true, here in China. So a lot of the pain points, or maybe the things they are trying to solve, is localizing appropriately for the Chinese market. in terms of what type of products and activations and marketing they should be, doing here to be successful. Second is being at China speed. So accelerating, we work a lot on agility and agile ways of working. So accelerating the way that they go from, planning all the way to learning and planning again, so that they are competitive here. And then there are two type of transformation that we support with. One is digital, which has been there for 20 years, and more we see clients paying more genuine attention to environmental concerns. I'm saying genuine because I think in the past years maybe was a bit more focused on the communication side. I think in the past couple of years it was maybe more focused on the communication side, but we see now that they are really making the move to make ESG a core part of their business models and their considerations on the strategic level. So it's quite interesting. So practically speaking, we would do digital roadmaps. We would operate their social media accounts, and we also build a lot of their digital assets like their WeChat mini programs and things like that.
You mentioned localization, and we already talked a lot about localization, and seems like lots of multinationals are struggling with this, right? And I think agencies as well struggling to explain why it's important. And I just want to hear what the common mistakes they do, and how you address those questions.
So one of the challenges that they are, facing is how different China market actually is. And it's been increasingly different in the past 2 years as it was before. There's a very big decoupling. So it's super difficult to get people in and out of China on the logistic and also cost side. And also, unfortunately, I think China doesn't have the same attraction as it had before. So it kind of all got together to say that there is less and less, I think, foreign executives that are actually able to come in China, to take roles in China, but also to come and visit and see the market. And also money flow is not super easy. Goods flow, with all the disruptions connected with COVID, was really challenging. And data flow with the PIPL and CSL new laws makes it that they have to actually have different databases and different IT systems for China. So China is becoming really more and more of a bubble, on top of what was always there, that the digital ecosystem is different. We don't have the GAFA, we have the VATX, that the cultural specificities are actually very strong. So that was always there, but I think in the past 2 years this decoupling is huge. And so we see multinationals are taking different steps to kind of manage that. China teams have more autonomy than before. I think this is for sure, because there is less visibility, but there is also a bit less trust between China team and global teams because there is less visibility and less exchanges just in general.
And to expand a little bit more on the challenges that MNCs and other local public companies also facing at the moment, right? After all this COVID restriction, lockdowns, closed borders, decoupling. So what you observing in the market? What are the trends? Where are the company going? Which direction they are taking?
Yeah. A couple of things maybe. The Chinese companies that have primarily presence on the domestic market, they still enjoy reasonably strong consumption and power over here. And there are so many markets that are still really growing and sophisticating. I mean, just yesterday we published a study about that we call sophistication, like sophistication of the coffee market in China. And this is one of the kind of miracle stories that the market grew tenfold in 10 years. Now we are, in first and second tier city, people consume coffee at the same rate as the US. Like, these are things for a millennial tea culture as China is. It's something I think few people could have envisioned to become at this scale. So this this sophistication of Chinese consumers and everything that goes with it is absolutely there and is continuing. And as long as foreign brands and multinationals can, be authentic and adopt, local taste, adapt to local taste, that's the fundamental key to success for here. After all, it's the second biggest economy and there's 1 billion people here. I think it's normal to adapt your product
Absolutely.
to a certain extent. So definitely, and I think for sure some Chinese companies are trying to go abroad and starting with Southeast Asia as well. So that's still going on. But I think there's still a bit of uncertainty to how things will unfold here. And what we see, some multinationals are maybe managing their investment a little bit differently than they were doing before. And perhaps also trying to de-risk the non-China business that's connected with China. So for example, producing in China for the rest of the world, they are trying to find alternatives to that in order to de-risk. So I think more and more China for China is kind of the model that companies are setting up to de-risk and optimize their operations.
Rachel, I always enjoy your insights, your sharing. Super interesting, super cool. So I look forward to the next one.
Me too, Marianne. Thanks for waiting 2 years until we can do this and go through the storm and not get any accidents today.
Thank you so much. Please like, share, comment, and we see you next time.